Hey there, fellow ChessGoons. My name is Anthony Arena. I am a 2000 rated chess expert from Long Island, New York, and today we're going to go over the Danish Gambit. This is the most exciting gambit in all of chess. I'm super excited to show you all the tactics today, and then most importantly, how to actually defend the Danish Gambit. And if you stick around to the end, I have a puzzle with a less than 1% pass rate that you can go ahead and try. Let's begin. So the Danish Gambit starts after e4, and our opponent is just going to play e5. Super quiet so far. D4 is played, and we're immediately gambiting a pawn. But keep in mind that after e takes d, the queen can just take back, and so far nothing's really been sacrificed. However, c3. And in this situation, the pawn takes once again. Now, you might think just take back with the knight and everything's okay, but this gambit actually starts after bishop c4, gambiting a second pawn, bishop takes b2, and in this situation, we are down two pawns, but we have a major prerogative. These bishops are eyeing down some crucial squares, and our opponent has no pieces developed. Now, it's important we go over some themes of the Danish Gambit. For starters, these two bishops are extremely important. We're looking to avoid trades, but we especially do not want to trade off either of these bishops. Black, on the other hand, up two pawns, has no problem trading down the position and looking to liquidate into an endgame. White will look to attack quickly with his queen and knights, getting the bishops involved whenever possible. And then, of course, we'll have ideas of possibly e5 after maybe knight to f6. The bishop can sack on f7 at a particular point in the game. This queen could become a target at certain points, and you'll see why in a second. And finally, we could have a queen-bishop battering ram with either of these positions. Now let's get into the brass tactics. So the first move order we're going to look at is after d6. Notice that the bishop is released on the light squares, and we play knight to g3. If the bishop goes ahead and pins, looking to keep the knight connected to the queen, this is already a losing mistake, and we have bishop sack. Now, this doesn't look like a crazy good move because king just takes, but here we have knight e5. If the pawn takes, the queen is hanging and the game is over. And of course, if you don't take the knight, we just win back the bishop and the king is stuck in the center of the board. Now then, we have proven that the Danish is an extremely formidable and fun attack to play for white, but how exactly do you defend? Well, in this situation, we go ahead and play bishop b4. And in this way, we're checking the king, we get an extra piece out, and we start to get back in that development race. Now, keep in mind the bishop is squaring down g7, and if he takes, we're just lost the game on the spot. Now, there are a couple of different responses here, but what we're going to look at first is knight to d2. Knight to d2 is the most popular engine move, and in this case, we just develop our knight to f6. This is where you see a tactic that's very familiar, e5. Now, if you play this wrong, you are completely losing. Like I said, you can't just go ahead and push this knight really anywhere. Instead, you play the timely d5, pawn takes, pawn takes, pawn takes, rook g8. And in this situation, queen e7 is coming, and we're actually in pretty good shape, still up a pawn, and we will win back g7 in short order. Now, in this situation, do note that e5 is far from forced, and you could see natural development of knight to f3. No big deal. We go ahead and castle. Our opponent castles, and now we play d6, and we're playing normal chess, guys. The bishop's going to maybe pin on g4, and we're going to be able to liquidate. And by the way, we're still up two pawns. Now, of course, this attack is still dangerous, but the f7 sack is no longer an option. The e5 push is no longer an option, and we are just playing regular chess here. However, knight d2 is not the only option here. You might also see the very popular knight c3. And in this situation, don't take back the knight right away. Instead, knight to f6. And of course, if e5 is pushed at any point, we're prepared for d5, right? In this situation, queen to b3, and notice that he's attacking the bishop, but he also has, like we talked about earlier, this queen bishop battering ram, which would be very dangerous on the f7 square. You want a castle, but you lose the bishop. So first, bishop takes, queen takes back, creating this deadly battering ram on the dark squares, and now we castle. And in this situation, despite the fact that we are being lasered down by an extremely aggressive position, we're actually okay and winning. Finally, guys, we have the ultra aggressive king to f1. And in this situation, our opponent is looking to trade nothing. They instead want to continue with their attack. We develop knight to f6, and we're not afraid of the e5 push. However, there's one more trick, the f7 sack. In this situation, you do have to be careful. We take the bishop back The queen is going to win back our bishop here, but that's okay. We push d5, queen takes, pawn takes, and notice in this situation with rending maiden 1, we're up 2 pawns, knight to c6 is coming, the bishops will develop, and we've actually managed to liquidate the light square bishop off the board already, which gives us a substantial advantage in the Danish. We are winning. Overall, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Take a look at this puzzle. It's maiden 1. Let me know if you can solve it in the comments below, and if you like this puzzle, I got 5 more down below. Check it out. Stay classy, my friends.